I'm back, baby. I'm back, baby. I'm back, baby.
Process, we break up, we grow apart, things of that nature. Now you hurt. Now you distraught. Now you in depression because you expected too much. And I'm not saying that to have expectations out of people. You have high standards. And a pattern of this person's performance to that standard would then create an expectation. And then when they let you down, you have a reason to be let down because y'all have an understanding and you know this person ain't being their best that day, that week, that month, whatever it may be. You know deep down in your heart, you not being the best you. And I want the best for you, so that's gonna hurt me too. Yeah, man. I could go all day on this, but let's go. Uh, let's skip to the next one. Oh, I think we did finish that. They confuse thoroughness with safety. One of the most persistent cognitive traps for overthinkers is the metacognitive belief that continued thinking about a problem will eventually solve it. Researchers studying repetitive thinking have found that many rumin, damn, my bad. Researchers studying repetitive negative thinking have found that many ruminators hold the implicit belief that if I keep analyzing this, I'll eventually figure it out. This belief actually increases rumination rather than reducing it because it frames the act of overthinking as productive, even when it's producing nothing but anxiety. The psychologist Susan Nolan Hoeksema, who, my bad, I don't know if I butchered that name, whose response styles theoretically, my god damn, the psychologist Susan Nolan Hoeksema, whose response styles theory essentially launched the modern study of rumination. Describe this pattern clearly. Rumination is characterized by repetitively and passively focusing on a problem. It causes and it consequences without moving towards a resolution. The key word is passively. Overthinkers feel like they're working hard because the mental activity is intense, but the activity is circular, not linear. It generates more questions, not answers. I love that. All right, I like that part because I would say like, all right, this what I can always take it back to something simple, okay? Say like you a seasoned veteran in the weight room. This is what you do. But then you get the young guys who come in there and they putting up some decent weight. You know, they benching the 225s, the 275s, the 315s. And they're hitting a lot of reps. But they think because it's hard for them that they're working hard. And I'm not saying like not that, but they're going to reach a point in their training to where it is like this is so physically demanding. I don't think I can make it through. But yet they will muster up the strength to follow through and complete it. And it'll make them a lot greater in life. You see what I'm saying? So, yes, overthinkers can spend an hour agonizing over a decision and end up less certain than when they first started. It's going to create more questions because I think one of the famous quotes that we hear is like, what is it? The more I learn, the wait, yeah, the more I know, the more I understand. Is it's something like that. You know what I'm saying? The more I learn, the more I know. The more I figure out I have to learn more. Yeah, it's more to learn. Something like that, y'all. My bad. I'm gonna move on because I think I butchered that real bad. But it makes sense, bro. Like the smarter you get, you realize how much you don't know. You see what I'm saying? Definitely. The more wise you get, the more life experience you get, the wider your life experience gets, you're gonna realize, dang, it's just something else I don't know. You see what I'm saying? I grew up around guns my whole life. But when I got into the military and I started learning about like the LMGs and the 50 cals and the sniper rifles, I was like, dang, this is another level of weapons that I don't understand at all. The ergonomics, the cleaning, the cycles of function, all the different things like that, how to clean them, how to dismantle them. I didn't understand anything about that part of life. So I had to get gamed up. And it's all good. But yeah, overthinkers gonna have this problem because the more you know, you just understand you don't know shit. Their cortisol stays elevated longer. Oh, overthinking isn't just a cognitive event, it's a physiological one. When the brain perceives uncertainty or threat, whether real or imagined, it activates the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, HPA, triggering the release of cortisol. In most people, cortisol spikes in response to a stressor and then returns to baseline once the situation is resolved. For overthinkers, the situation is never fully resolved because the rumination keeps the perception of threat alive. Research in psych- endocrinology has shown that chronic rumination keeps the sympathetic nervous system activated, flooding the body with stress hormones. This doesn't just affect mood; it disrupts sleep, impairs digestion, elevates blood pressure, and over time contributes to systematic inflammation. Dang, bro. So being an overthinker literally affects you physically, bro. That's crazy. A simple decision that a satisficer resolves in 30 seconds and forgets about might keep and overthinks cortisol elevated for hours. As they replay, reevaluate, and second guess. The physiological cost of this pattern compounded across months and years is significant. Dang. All right, well, let me pause this, bro, because I gotta go check on my barbecue and shit, bro. I'm gonna be back, y'all. All right, I'm back, y'all. Let's finish up. They can learn to think differently, but not by trying to think less. Bro, them is facts, man. So let's see what they got to say. The most counterintuitive finding in the overthinking research is that telling overthinkers to just stop thinking about it is not only unhelpful, it can make things worse. Psychologist Daniel Wegner's research on the ironic process theory show that deliberately trying to suppress thoughts causes them to rebound with even greater intensity. Telling an overthinker to stop overthinking is like telling someone not to think about a white bear. The instruction itself triggers the thought. Yeah, I mean, facts, man. It's nothing I can really say about that. I'm not gonna lie. What actually works, according to the clinical research, is fundamentally changing the structure of thinking rather than trying to reduce its volume. Rumination focused cognitive behavioral therapy, developed by Errol Watkins at the University of Exeter, has shown significant results by teaching overthinkers to shift from abstract, evaluative thinking. Why does this always happen to me? To concrete, specific thinking. What exactly happened? And what's one thing I can do about it? This isn't about thinking less. It's about thinking in a different mode. Mindfulness based interventions have shown strong results, not because they silence the DMN, but because they change the person's relationship to the thoughts it produces. Rather than treating every thought as a problem that requires analysis, mindfulness trains attention to observe thoughts without engaging with them automatically. I could see that. Yeah, for sure. Why this matters. Overthinkers are often they're often told they're too sensitive, ooh, too indecisive, or too much in their own heads. Yeah, facts. I ain't gonna, I'm good to that too. But the science tells a different story. Their brains are wired to process decisions through a more elaborate, referential future stimulating system than most people use. Their DMN is louder. Their maximization threshold is higher. Their regret processing is deeper. Their cortisol response to unresolved choices is more sustained. None of this make them broken, but it does mean that the standard advice, just pick one, stop overthinking, go with your gut, isn't just unhelpful for them. It's fundamentally misunderstands how the cognitive system works. The better path isn't thinking less. It's understanding what your brain is doing and when it won't stop thinking and learning to redirect that machinery toward resolution rather than repetition. The engine isn't the problem, the direction is. Did you like my article? Like me on Facebook to see more articles like this in feed. All right. Hey, shout out to Lackland Brown, man. Hack Spirit. I think that's what he go by on Facebook. This was a good article. But yeah, for sure, man. Like being an overthinker, I can say this, like being an overthinker in most things, it causes you to like if y'all used to watch like That So Raven, she had a vision, right? And then in order and in her process of preventing the thing that happened in her vision from happening in real life, she screws up anyway, and it end up happening. I feel like that's what overthinkers do. Like you would think about a situation each and every way, like you would break it down by every angle, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try to do all these things to avoid the thing that I don't want happening. In the end, for it to still happen, bro. So overthinking, man, I understand it. Because even as an overthinker, I used to tell myself, bro, I would never do this. I would never do that. And me just going through life, just living life, man, bettering myself, trying to do all these things. You end up running into the situation that you be like, I never do that. But being put in that situation, then you say, okay, it makes you more understanding to be like, I could see why people would do this in this situation because I ain't gonna lie, I've been there and I had to do it too. Because it benefited me at the time, it benefited everybody at the time. It was just the overall better decision. So I feel like the only reason why like overthinkers might feel like flawed or feel slighted in a situation is just because if it don't go your way, then what you gonna start you thinking about? All the stuff you did wrong, all the stuff you could have did different in order for it to go your way. But that's why I say like you should never have emotions attached to the results. Like it'll be great for me to just post a video up on YouTube and it hit 100K, 400K, and all these sponsors and all these ads, and I just I can live my life doing YouTube. But let's be real, like be realistic about it. That ain't gonna happen every time. It may never happen for me, but at the same time, bro, you still look at it and say I'm not attached to the results or the outcomes. I'm just attached to the process and the joy of being able to do it. If that makes sense. But I'm done rambling, man. I got some salmon on the grill. I gotta go check on. Y'all have a great night. I'm out.
Thank you for watching this.